Hollywood thought it knew exactly what audiences wanted. April 2026 proved them all wrong, in the most expensive way possible. For years, studios have been chasing the same formula. Big IP, established franchises, safe bets. And then a biopic about the most controversial pop star in history walked in and made every single calculation look stupid.
Why do film critics hate the new Michael Jackson movie, and why are general audiences loving it? The movie just came out this past weekend. People have been making their way to theaters, seeing the movie, and for the most part, they have been coming out of the theater happy with the movie. But before that, of course, there was press screenings, media screenings, and film critics were giving this a really low grade. Now, why is that? The movie is a broad overview of Michael Jackson's life, especially at the peak of his career. It starts around the Jackson 5 era and it ends right at the Bad Tour. After the Bad Tour is when a lot of the allegations and controversies surrounding Michael Jackson started, and it doesn't touch on that at all. And I think the film critics were looking for a deep dive into the psyche of Michael Jackson, answering questions like, why was he the way he was? Why did he have these odd behaviors? What was going on in his head around these controversies? And the movie doesn't touch on that at all. The movie really serves to highlight the legacy of Michael Jackson and the obstacles he had to overcome to become the biggest artist in the world. Now, what the audiences are having a really fun time with is the performances, and rightfully so.
This is the part that nobody in the industry wants to sit with. Critics were handed early screenings. They came out and called it bland, sanitized, barely watchable. 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. 1 star from the BBC. By every traditional measure, this film was supposed to struggle. Instead, it opened to $97 million domestically. Biggest biopic opening in history. Bigger than Oppenheimer. More than double Bohemian Rhapsody. $217 million globally in one weekend. The audience score hit 96% verified. A minus on Cinema Score, 7.7 on IMDb. The gap between what critics said and what audiences did was not just unusual, it was a statement.
Everyone who thought the Michael Jackson film was gonna fail must be crying right now, because the Michael Jackson movie is now tracking to be the most successful musical biopic of all time. Michael has earned $40 million in its domestic opening day, biggest opening day of all time for a biopic, and the biggest box office opening day of 2026. Shimon!
But here's the side of this story that got buried under all the celebration. While Michael was rewriting records, real people were watching years of work disappear in real time. And some of those stories are genuinely painful to look at. Start with the one that hits hardest, 5 years. That is how long Desert Warrior spent trying to get from an idea to a theater screen. 5 years of production, development, and pushing through every obstacle. Anthony Mackie in the lead. Real film with real people behind it. They finally made it. They finally got a release date. And that release date happened to be the same weekend Michael Jackson showed up. 5 years of work. One weekend. Gone. $475,000. Honestly, a decent McDonald's location makes that on a busy Saturday.
Say hello to the biggest box office flop in the history of cinema. Desert Warrior just came out in theaters. $150 million budget. And it only grossed a couple $100,000. The stars, Anthony Mackie.
Then there is the case that should have been different. Jason Blum and James Wan, 2 names that have built entire franchises from scratch, decided to work together on The Mummy. Blumhouse, Atomic Monster, Get Out, The Conjuring, The Purge, Insidious. These are not people who make mistakes often. The Mummy opened the week before Michael at $13.5 million, already below where they wanted to be. Then Michael arrived and The Mummy dropped another 58.6%, falling to $5.6 million the following weekend. Total earned after 10 days, $23.4 million. Budget, $22 million. Break even, $55 million. The math does not work. And the detail that makes it worse, James Wan had specifically branded this as Lee Cronin's The Mummy to separate it from every previous version and signal something new. That entire effort became invisible the moment Michael opened. And then there is A24. Because watching A24 struggle at the box office is genuinely something you do not expect to see. Mother Mary, David Lowery directing, Anne Hathaway starring, the kind of combination that usually at least starts a conversation. Total gross, $2.2 million. Against a $20 million budget. Opening weekend, $1.1 million. 9th place. That same weekend, Michael made $96 million more than that domestically. But the detail that made this situation particularly uncomfortable, Mother Mary opened 1 week before The Devil Wears Prada 2, reuniting Anne Hathaway with Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci. Anne Hathaway had 2 films in theaters almost simultaneously. One collapsed completely. The other was about to become one of the biggest films of the summer. Michael made that contrast unavoidable.
It's been 10 days. To absolutely nobody's surprise, except for the media, Michael is just destroying the box office, and his fan base is just as alive as it was when he was around. This is a movie that hasn't even opened yet in Korea or Japan, some of the biggest markets for movies, and some of the biggest fan bases for Michael. When that happens, we're seeing $1 billion at the end of the month. I made a video back in November talking about how this is easily going to smash $1 billion, and these are some of the things people had to say. I mean, Twister is sold out across stores because of this movie. We're coming for that $1 billion, and then we're sweeping the Oscars.
The damage went even further back. Michael did not just compete with films in theaters that weekend. It went back in time and passed movies that had already finished their entire runs. Scream 7 franchise best, $213.5 million worldwide lifetime. Passed in one Michael weekend. GOAT, $190.5 million to Lifetime. Gone. Sam Raimi's Send Help, $94 million to Lifetime. Erased. A24's The Drama, $99.9 million to Lifetime. Done. Films that had run for weeks or months, lapped by a single opening weekend. So what did the people actually inside the business say when all of this landed? Michael O'Leary from Cinema United pointed to Michael as proof that audiences will still fill theaters for the right story. Lionsgate chair Adam Fogelson said simply, "If you give audiences what they want, they will come." That was it. No analysis needed. Director Antoine Fuqua brought up something that stopped people mid-conversation. He said that while going through everything with Michael, the reshoots, the delays, the chaos, he remembered standing in a completely different kind of chaos years earlier. He was handing in the director's cut of Emancipation, his Will Smith film, the exact moment Will Smith walked on stage at the Oscars and slapped Chris Rock. He said both situations felt equally surreal. He came through both, and his film just dismantled the entire spring box office in the process. Critics called it too safe. Audiences called it the best time they had in a theater this year. And $217 million in one weekend made it very clear which opinion the industry actually has to listen to. Which film getting erased surprised you most? And does Michael reach $1 billion? Let us know below.
If you're looking at having keys jangled in front of your face for 2 hours and 7 minutes, Michael is the perfect movie for you, said one critic on Rotten Tomatoes. That very same critic, by the way, scored Mario Galaxy higher than this film. I guess he thinks there was less key jangling in that movie? What? As I sat and watched the 2-hour Michael Jackson movie, simply titled Michael, tapping my feet along with the great music, being impressed by the wonderful performances from the leads, in the back of my mind I was getting worried that the movie was gonna end at any point, and I honestly didn't want it to, because it was a very lovely time at the movie.